What is up, guys? Welcome back. We are the Hardcore Casuals, your all-killer, no-filler wrestling podcast. Whew. So, a little bit of a neat collaborative week.
Not much to talk about this week. Pretty light week.
Yeah.
Nothing too much.
Yeah.
Can't really think of much to talk about.
And most of it, most of the anything we're talking about, is just, it's only stuff that's happened in the ring, So. Right. But no, yeah, we do have a lot to talk about here, and we will make some of the stuff short and sweet. Some of the stuff we will definitely dive into more, give our opinions, because there's a lot of craziness that happened this week. And, yeah, we'll get to that. So first of all, we need to hop on here and talk about Raw, because that's what we start with. So we're going to roll with that. Monday Night Raw last week, it started out with Heyman and Riddle come out there. Riddle cuts this promo. He's playing up that sympathy, man, that sympathy babyface role, and kind of setting up the stuff with Riddle and Reigns going into SmackDown, which we will get to. But yeah, Riddle and Heyman had kind of a pretty good little promo off here. How do you feel about Riddle and his potential as a singles guy, I guess, now that Randy is possibly going to be out for a while?
Right, yeah, I think it's the natural progression to go ahead and just, trade all that heat that kind of Randy and Riddle had together and just kind of put it all behind Riddle. Obviously he's great in the ring, has a great look. He's a legit, if you know anything about his background, he's a legit badass. Literally fought in the UFC and everything. So, he's got a lot of legitimacy behind him. I haven't really been a fan of the overly sympathetic, I love you, Randy promos that we've been getting lately. Cause it's
they're a little cringe.
Very cringy. But no, as far as, if you want a newer guy to throw up to the top of the card, I think, Riddle's one of the first names that you're gonna list off for sure.
Yeah. And I just think it's interesting, obviously, that with all the injuries and all the wild stuff going on right now in WWE, and, it just seems like he's been kind of a constant for them. So,
right.
Who knows what they're going to plan to do? Like I said, we'll get on to SmackDown with this match with Reigns here shortly. But a good hand that's been kind of just very consistent throughout the last few years.
And he is over. I'm not discounting. He's definitely over as all get out with the crowd. It's just, I think they need to maybe just not lean so heavily on, maybe the one promo was fine, but now it's every promo, it's jerk Randy off fest and shit. So it's okay, we get it. Let him be his own guy and let him stand on his own and not have to piggyback onto Randy every single time he's out there.
Yeah, he definitely needs to become his own person with all that. And if Randy is going to be gone, he needs to separate himself from the whole Arcade Bro and all that, and doing. I guess if he does the RKO, I guess it's whatever. But it's just, if he's going to be by himself, he needs to establish himself, I guess. But yeah, a little promo here, kind of, foretelling the future, I guess, of the match coming up here on SmackDown. So I just kind of wanted to throw that in there. But next we still have Becky and Asuka continuing to feud, which I guess they're just going to continue to carry this along. Obviously, two very good veterans. I guess did they have a match? Are they having a match this next week on Raw where one of them gets into the Money in the Bank? Or I couldn't remember exactly.
Yeah, it's a qualifying match. This week.
Okay, so yeah, they're continuing that, and I don't see a world where neither of them or both of them don't somehow make it into the Money in the Bank. I feel like if one of them's kind of left out, it leaves them that lady out specifically for the pay-per-view, I'd imagine. So I don't know. I haven't seen anything with this week's Raw. We're recording on a Monday. Normally we do Monday, but obviously we had Father's Day, so we didn't really get a chance to do all that. So, but yeah, do you foresee this feud continuing past Money in the Bank, or them just both being in that to continue going on with their feud?
Yeah, like you said, I just I don't know how they both aren't in it if they're not going to focus one of them in a higher profile spot. I don't know if maybe one of them breaks off and gets added to something else, or they branch off and do something off of this. But it kind of felt very similar to which we'll probably get to with the the AJ and Rollins match, I felt like both those guys should be in the Money in the Bank as well. So it's like when you see, these big names that are, super over with the fans and stuff like that, usually you get a one-sided kind of match for these qualifying ones. But yeah, this one just kind of seems weird, but it's just a continuational thing. As far as they keep going, I just think it doesn't really have that much legs behind it if you're not going to make something more out of it story-wise, or adding a title into it, or having one of them win the title or something like that. So it'll kind of be weird to keep it going because there's just really not a lot of steam with the overall feud itself, except for just having matches,
For sure. So yeah, I do want to quickly mention, last week we did not mention, Rhea had won an opportunity to face Bianca Belair, and we never mentioned that. I guess it just kind of got lost in the shuffle of everything, but we will kind of get into what happened with her maybe on the next podcast, because we're getting more information as stuff comes out as time goes on here. But I just want to quickly mention Alexa Bliss and Liv Morgan have both qualified. They're kind of putting these two together as this counteracting Harley Quinn kind of thing. It just kind of seems like when they have nothing for Liv Morgan, they just put her with someone else. And so I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about Bliss and Liv being in Money in the Bank? You think either one of them?
I mean, I'm not against them both being on the screen at the exact same time.
I'm not. You said you're not a fan, or you are?
I said I'm not against it.
Oh, not against it. Okay.
Yeah. I'm totally fine with that. I don't care whatever the hell they do. I mean, they're both kind of like, Alexa's in this middle weird ground where she's basically has all of her characters into one, where she's just kind of merging everything, and she's kind of in this gray area. And like you said, Liv just kind of all right, she's done with this, throw her over here and do that. Oh, she's done with that. All right, throw her over here and just do that. She just kind of goes place to place and does whatever they want her to do. But, a lot of people have been wanting to see an Alexa and Liv kind of interaction because they're, obviously similar looks. So, we'll see where that goes. But, yeah, I'm not against it.
Me neither. I think it will, obviously anytime they're on the screen, I enjoy it. They're not always the greatest in the ring, but sometimes that just doesn't matter. Sometimes you just, if you got the aura, you got, if you're nice to look at, maybe, it is what it is. So,
yep.
Next we got, I believe it was a match, Owens and Ezekiel had a match, and then Ezekiel said next week it would be the return of Elias. Yeah, so that kind of popped real big, and, everyone was kind of thinking, how are they planning to do this here? What are they going to do? What do you think about the return of Elias? Do you think old Elias should be the gimmick he should stick with, or he should stick with the Ezekiel?
Anything Ezekiel should just go right down the shitter. Because I could give a shit. They're just gonna pre-production it, and they'll probably shoot some shit to where they fucking probably work on it all day and make it look like there's two different people, and have him play both parts, and have him have a fake fucking beard or some shit, and then it's so fucking hokey and childish, and people are all like, this is gonna be so cool to see what they do. It's gonna be, I'm just I'm not an idiot. I'm not 5 years old. I don't give a shit. It's just childish and hokey, and I could give a shit less.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do here with kind of putting Elias back on screen and see how they do the interaction. But I never thought they should have took him away from being Elias anyway. I thought
right.
His gimmick was so over at one time, and then they just pulled back on him, and they just didn't let him get as big as he could have been, which was unfortunate for them. But, it is what it is. So we'll kind of see how that happens next week and kind of go over that then. Here, I might be pulling a little bit at the heartstrings over at old J-Man here, but man, I'll tell you what, I'm a little sad about what AJ is right now in WWE. I kind of feel like there's just no fire there, man. There's no fire for him. He cut his promo, and I just was watching it, and I was just man, I think the best response I could come up with this is, AJ's always been good in the ring. He has a storied career, but it kind of, to me, feels like at this point remember where Randy was at a few years back, where it was just oh, he's just here. He's just existing. And it just kind of seems like there's nothing here for him. It just seems like he should move on to something else, or, you know, they should figure something out for him, because he's stale as all get out. He's, you know, and it's frustrating because he's so good in the ring, and you love to watch him wrestle, but he goes out here, both him and Rollins cut this promo, and Rollins just obliterates him over this promo. Like, he just was so much better. And then they go out there and they get in the ring, and obviously they're both great. And I just don't care about AJ anymore. I just don't. It's unfortunate, because I love the guy, and I think he is one of the all-time greats. But at this moment in his career, it's just like, I don't know, man. There's just something about him that's just boring to me. It's just like he's been the same guy, you know, for the last 10 years. It's like something needs to change. Maybe change his gear, cut his hair. I don't know. You know, turn full heel. I don't know what it is. How do you feel about AJ right now?
Yeah, no, I'm there with you too, and it is frustrating. You know, I love AJ as well, and you know, his career is just, you know, definitely one to look back on, and the amazing moments and matches that he's had. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of like where he's, you know, it feels like with AJ, he's kind of like a goal-oriented guy. You know, it seems like he strives to, you know, okay, I have an end game here. I want to do this. I want to be, you know, the face of TNA. He went and did that. He wanted to be the, you know, world champion, get the X division over. He was like, okay, I've done everything in TNA. I'm gonna go to New Japan and fucking go back and show people like why I'm the best fucking wrestler in the world. And then he goes and wins the IWGP title. And then he's like, okay, I've never gone to WWE. I want to go there. I want to see if I can, you know, fucking survive and get over there. He goes, and you know, and he's a legit Hall of Famer just with his WWE career. So right now, he doesn't have anything to go towards. You know, he doesn't have a big motivational goal, or he doesn't have like this big, you know, thing to look forward to as far as, you know, what he'd want to do. He's wrestled a lot of guys that he's never wrestled before. He's had, you know, the dream matches. He's wrestled the Cenas. He's wrestled Edge and Randy and all these names that, you know, people have wanted to see. And it's like, well, now what? You know, now what do we do? And it's like he's almost a victim of a storied career. He's like a victim of his own success, because he's done everything. You know, there's really not a lot in modern wrestling that you can find, you know, a guy that's done everything that he's done. So I think it's a motivational thing. I think he just, you know, maybe needs to find something to strive towards. Maybe it is changing up a look. Maybe it is taking some time off and, you know, you know, taking a little bit of time away, and maybe it'll kind of, you know, grow the heart fonder, or whatever that phrase is. But, yeah, it just kind of seems like he's there and he's stuck in the mud, and he's just kind of doing his thing. He's just used as a great talent in the ring. He's used for, you know, obviously being a big name and getting other guys over, and it does kind of just feel like he's there, and it's felt like that for a while. You know, he had that feud with Edge, and it really didn't do much. Then he kind of broke out of that. Then they did that, like, you know, they were going to do the fucking Bullet Club type of deal with Balor, and then they kind of had to change everything and pull the rug underneath all of that build because of what they did with Edge and Balor, obviously. So it's like he's just there, and it's like, you know, what does he do? You know, it's hard to find an idea of like what to do that would be fresh and new for him, because he's just pretty much done everything. So,
Right.
I get that feel, and it is unfortunate. Hopefully he can find something. Hopefully he can, you know, find something to strive towards, and they can get him onto, you know, a better path that he is right now, because I want to see AJ motivated to be out there, because right now he does seem like he's just kind of running through the paces, but you know, it's like, what does he have to go for? You know, he's got nothing really that they're giving him that seems interesting that he'd want to be pumped about. So, it is kind of in that lackadaisical lull right now, and hopefully he finds a way out of it.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to see him to obviously do some stuff, and with the amount of injuries and different things going on, there's opportunity for him to be vaulted back into a main event scene.
Oh yeah,
they're very set in their way with Reigns at the moment and what they want to do with him, but
it wouldn't take no time, because the crowd will always be behind AJ.
Yeah,
AJ's going to be always such a lovable character. He's a natural babyface because of everything that he does in the ring and just how likable of a guy he is. If they choose to get behind him, the crowd will continue and will always be behind him. So it's just whether or not they want to do anything. Right now, it's just you know, it's on the, you know, behind the scenes and what they're doing and how they're wanting to book him right now, which is they don't really want to do anything. They're just kind of having him be there, and that's how he feels, unfortunately, which sucks. So yeah, like you said, hopefully he can he could get vaulted up because of all these injuries, and they could definitely use him as a top tier babyface. And I think that that would be obviously a wise move because, like you said, he's one of the best, and we wish nothing but the best for an AJ Styles for sure.
For sure. And we'll mention that obviously Rollins got the win here. He gets into the Money in the Bank. I mean, for the most part, what do you feel like he's potentially the favorite, or maybe Drew is the favorite? We don't know yet, but
I'd probably say Drew. But I mean, Drew and Seth, as far as the face wise and the heel wise, is the biggest favorites. I mean, pretty much no one else really makes a lot of sense besides those two.
I think his fans definitely deserve a proper Reigns Rollins match at this point in their career, where they're both kind of at the peak of their career at the moment.
Right.
At a major pay-per-view with a clean finish at least. So hopefully we get that down the road. So let's move on to here at the end. Obviously we also had Belair, and she cut a promo, and then they had the Judgment Day cut a promo. They're kind of doing this whole thing where they're all equals. And kind of saying Rhea's going to come after Belair as well. And, we've said it 100 times, Belair's great. She's such a lovable character that it's almost getting to the point where it's like, if she retains against Rhea, it's like, here we go again. You got a Reigns situation because there's not a lot left, for her to kind of go through. She's kind of running the paces and just beat all the top girls, especially with the Sashas and the people leaving and Charlotte out and all this as well. So, how do you feel about Belair and the stuff with the Judgment Day going on?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they're going to have to find new ways to freshen stuff up and put newer people in there. And obviously it's not a fresh thing with Rhea because we've seen Rhea and Bianca in the past, but it is fresh as far as like where Rhea is at now. And then obviously Bianca's just going to be the tried and true and go in there and have be one of the best women's workers in the world and be super lovable and everything. I hope the crowd doesn't turn on that because of the fact that she is that way. And because of the fact that, she just maybe will keep retaining or whatever. But I'm hoping that, if hopefully we can get the brand split over and then we can start mingling these talents in and we can start having different fresh matchups because that'll eventually obviously freshen things up if we can get, different people than the same, core of like 3 or 4, girls in there, just going back and forth, which, obviously they're going to be great, matches. You saw it at Hell in a Cell was, tremendous with Asuka and Bianca and Becky. But, you definitely got to freshen it up. You definitely got to start moving some people back up, and into different spots. And you have the talent there to do it. It's just whether or not they want to pull the trigger with some other, people and kind of vaulting them up, which, like you said, it could kind of get a little, the same stuff over and over again, which, obviously we don't want to see, but it's kind of hard to fault them when you're putting in some of the best women's talent in the world and, doing it over and over again because, it ends up producing. So we'll see where that goes, though.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I agree. And it's kind of hard to see Belair kind of, losing to anybody at this point. She's kind of holding it down as the top spot. So we'll see what they do there with that leading into SummerSlam for sure after Money in the Bank, hopefully. So finally at the end of Raw here we have the Theory versus Lashley pose off, which, man, I'll tell you what, I'm really, really warming up to Theory. I kind of feel like he really shows off a lot of personality. When he is out there, he seems very comfortable in front of a crowd. He seems very comfortable on the mic. He's goofy, but he's not like to the point where he's like over the top, like kind of like an AEW kind of like mascotty guy, kind of like a Danhausen or an Orange Cassidy kind of goofy. He comes off like a cocky, arrogant kind of guy, but he shows so much personality and so much like facial features whenever he's doing things that I find him so entertaining, more entertaining than he ever used to be. Which obviously, this is what we said 100 times before. A lot of times it just depends on how the presentation of someone is. They're presenting him as somebody that they are really getting behind, and they're letting him kind of, take charge of this whole thing he's doing and giving him a lot of opportunities to shine. And Lashley, obviously he's getting over as a face right now. He's doing the whole kind of like statuesque posing on the platform thing, which I think is kind of a good gimmick for him as well. So I'm definitely intrigued to see where this Theory Lashley feud goes and what they do here with this. How do you feel about what they're doing?
Yeah, like you said, I totally agree with everything about Theory. I think they're on the right path. I think they're doing the right things. Very similar to, like, it sounds like a broken record, but it's just very similar to, a young Randy Orton, just how he was positioned as a guy that didn't seem like he had all those, kind of characteristics of being the super entertaining and being super charismatic, and then you slowly start to peel back the onion and you see all these different layers on top of the great physique and ring, which, goes without saying that Theory's outstanding in the ring and has, an incredible look and, doesn't look like he just sits on his ass and plays video games and goes to conferences about video games, Adam Cole. He actually looks like he fucking puts in work and he like wants to look like larger than life and not like a fucking 12-year-old boy. So I mean, he looks like a superstar. He carries himself with confidence. So, he's on the perfect trajectory and they know what they have with him. They've had it in the past. Very similar to a lot of those guys. You look at, even when Cena came up, I mean, the stuff that's been going online with the back and forth with Cena and Theory have been some great stuff. I'm really looking forward to that if they end up going that route towards the SummerSlam. I think that could be some really entertaining stuff with Cena coming back, I think in the next week or the week after. Not tonight as we're recording, but the next week, I believe Cena's coming back. So, definitely comes the potential there and continued for him to grow. As far as Lashley, man, he's just never really done anything for me. He's always had a great look and great physique, and everything. I think the best run that he's had in WWE was with the Hurt Business. I really hate that they ended all of that. I think that was the best utilization of him with MVP and everything, and that not having to have him cut his fucking own promos because it comes off really cringy sometimes, but they're going the masterpiece route, I guess, with Bobby Lashley and just little hose off, pose off shit going on here. But, definitely a legitimate guy and a guy that I think that if they get in there and have a Theory get over on would be a huge win for Theory. Former, WWE champion and Lashley and a lot of accolades for him. So, loving the trajectory that they're doing with Theory and, definitely excited for his future.
For sure. So that's pretty much what we got for Raw at this point. I want to quickly mention I didn't watch any of NXT, but I do kind of keep track of what's going on online just to see if something interesting might be popping up on there. Like I said, I've kind of been taking a liking to Carmelo Hayes and his kind of gimmick and what he's doing, and I keep an eye on Braun Breaker, and the Creed brothers seem to be kind of intriguing as well. But the only thing I saw online out of this show here, which is I thought they were going the route of doing Braun Breaker versus Apollo Crews, but I guess maybe that was just a one-off for now, because now they're planning to do Cameron Grimes versus Braun Breaker at Great American Bash.
Okay.
It just seemed kind of random. He just lost the title to
right.
Hayes. So I like Cameron Grimes. I think he's great on the mic. I think he's great in the ring. I think they could complement them, Braun really well. So we'll see what goes with that. Do you got anything you want to say about?
Yeah, I don't understand, because I think that doing him and Apollo, Great American Bash, that just fits. That sounds really good. It sounds like a great idea, and really don't know why they wanted to change that up, because I think that Apollo, I don't think he'd have any issue having a title match and doing business and putting over, Braun. But, if they're going to go the Cameron Grimes route, like you said, he's a great worker. He's solid on the mic. I believe he was a face still, right? So that would be, he's not a heel, is he?
Nope.
Yeah. So that's kind of strange, because you think that they would be able to work off if he's going to be a heel, they can work off like a promo work of him being a heel and Braun being the face in that, but kind of weird. And also
maybe they turn him back. Maybe he does a turn
possibly,
back.
Yeah, possibly. And especially coming off the loss, like that doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. But it is what it is. It's unfortunate, because I probably would have watched the matches with Braun and Apollo, because I think that could have been some really cool stuff with some just like young hosses going in there and kind of doing their shit. But we'll see what they get out of Grimes and Braun, but it doesn't really seem like they, are going to be changing directions with anything that when it comes to Braun. It seems like he's going to be a guy that, you know, they want to get behind and they want to continue to establish. They're kind of doing the build via title kind of association, just having him, you know, continue to grow as champion and kind of keeping that, trend going there. But, we'll see where that goes. And, you know, could end up being, you know, a pretty solid match because, like you said, Grimes is a pretty solid worker.
Yeah, I tend to kind of give, when they have those special, kind of like specialty Tuesday night shows, kind of like the what's it called, like the Great American Bash or the New Year's Evils or whatever. Yeah. If they don't do the pay-per-views, if they just do them on a weekly, I'll try to kind of tune in to check those out sometimes and see what they're working with. It is interesting to not watch for several months and then click on one of those and kind of see like the progress without actually watching. So we'll see what happens with NXT and what they do there, because obviously neither one of us are really following it that hard. So now we'll jump on to SmackDown. Disclaimer here: we will skip over the stuff with Vince. We will get to that because that's going to be towards the end. We're going to talk about everything that happens with Vince. Obviously, he comes out at the opening of SmackDown, and I'm sure we both have some very interesting thoughts about all of that. So we'll get to that towards the end here. But there's only literally a few things from SmackDown we obviously have to talk about. They're really trying to push Madcap Moss here as a big deal. I don't see it. I don't get it. I don't think he's that special. I think he's got a good physique. I think he's okay. I think he just does nothing for me. And they did this last match, which I didn't even watch, but I guess, did you watch any of this? Was it like a last man standing, I guess?
Oh, I didn't watch any of it.
Okay. So the only thing I want to basically get out of this is, for now, I don't really give much of a crap about Madcap Moss. I'm not really interested. I've seen clips on Twitter and stuff that he, thinks he's doing, changed up his look, his gimmick, whatever. It looks like they might be trying to build towards Pat McAfee being involved in the match again, because I think he got into it with Corbin.
Yep, I did see that.
Corbin got into each other, so maybe him and Corbin kind of go at it at SummerSlam. I'm guessing maybe they might build towards that. Which, I mean, Corbin is one of the most hated guys, and Pat's one of the most lovable guys. So that should be really entertaining if they try to do that. But how do you feel about Pat coming back and maybe doing a match?
Yeah, that's the most intriguing, fucking Baron Corbin match that I can remember in recent history. I mean, Pat is super entertaining and like you said, so lovable and such one of the most biggest breaths of fresh air for WWE in the last 10 years. I mean, it's just anything he does, he's literally one of the only reasons to watch SmackDown. I wanted to watch SmackDown obviously for the Vince stuff and then obviously for the main event. But just having it on kind of in the background, we were, just taking a little couple day trip or whatever out and, we had the TV on and, it's just some of his little one-liners he throws out is just so good. So it goes without saying how much this Pat's tremendous. But, Madcap Moss, I don't get it either. I hope they build him up just enough for Gunther to completely fucking destroy him, maybe. That could be awesome. That's all I'll give a shit about. But,
sure.
Maybe that's what they'll build up. He'll build him up enough to get an IC title match and then have just Gunther fucking destroy him. That's all I can hope for.
Right. So we'll see what happens with that. We obviously are totally okay with McAfee doing more because he's definitely great. He's one of the most entertaining parts of all of WWE television. So
right.
We'll be on board with that. Next, quickly mention Raquel Rodriguez here getting into the Money in the Bank match. This one for me, I guess, I definitely could see her winning here. I mean, it just seems like they really like her and they're giving her kind of the push, and maybe they need somebody to start elevating in the women's division a little more. So I could see her getting the win here. How do you feel about Raquel?
Yeah, continuing her trajectory, it seems like they really want to get behind her. She has a great look and everything. I think they'll continue to go. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, like you said, if she possibly does win this one. I mean, I think she'd be kind of at least one of more of the dark horse picks because you'll have some bigger names in there. But as far as the trajectory goes, if you give her the briefcase, let her hold it for a little bit, it's kind of like that by association thing, like I said with Braun Breaker, where if you give her that, people are going to assume that she's a bigger deal than she is, and then, can eventually have her cash in, and, hopefully they can cash in on her, potentially becoming a big star.
For sure. Yeah, so we'll see what happens there with that over time. Don't have the full field of Money in the Bank yet for the men and the women, but over the next week or two, we'll see it. When is Money in the Bank? Is that
it's actually next Saturday. Yeah. So it's not this coming Saturday, but it's the following Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, we'll be in tune with that, and we'll see what happens there with that. Finally, we got to the main event here, which they've been temping for a week and a half now here. Obviously at the beginning of the show, they had Riddle come out. This was the only thing I watched on SmackDown. I don't really watch much of SmackDown. If I hear about something good, I will, I have it on Hulu. I'll get on Hulu and I'll just, on Saturday or Sunday, I'll kind of click on real quick, find what I want to see, and I'll go to it. But I watched the promo with Riddle. He kind of did the whole, jerking off Randy thing, which, obviously I'm tired of because how much you got to suck someone off. It gets to the point where it's cringy. But I love the sympathetic, the vibe of Riddle. I just don't want to hear him suck off Randy anymore. But yeah, so he had a great, babyface sympathetic promo, and then, got the fans behind him, obviously, and then they go into the match, and, it's Reigns, man. Anytime Reigns has a match, it's just the excitement is elevated. The room is, there's, people are on pins and needles, and it's electrifying. He goes out here and has a good match with Riddle, and, we never really thought that Riddle had a chance to get to win here. So, first of all, I just want to get your thoughts on the match and how you felt about the match in general.
Yeah, the match was solid, and like you said, it was elevated by the bigness that is Roman Reigns and that he gives off. And I think that having this title reign go as long as it has, every match seems like a bigger deal. Every single, near fall seems like a bigger deal. So it was definitely elevated by that. And having a super sympathetic babyface made it to where this was a must-watch match because it was such a great heel-face dynamic. And I think they pulled off a very, very solid matchup, and I was thoroughly entertained by it.
There's a very good near fall in this match.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. I knew obviously Riddle wasn't going to win, but they had a very good near fall. And
I think that was the one where Reigns was going for the spear and he did the RKO, and then there was literally 2.9999.
Yeah,
very good.
Oh, it was very close. But yeah, so Reigns gets the win here, and gets on the mic, acknowledge me, and fade to black, we think, and then Plan B. It's Plan B, as in Plan Brock. Yeah, so Brock's music hits. He comes out with a cowboy hat and stands in the ring, and here we go again. When we have nothing for our second biggest show of the year, let's just here you go, Brock. Here's $5 million. Come back and do a run, and at least for now, what are they doing? They've made it official that they're going to do a last man standing match at SummerSlam. Is that what the plan is? So okay, so they have the last man standing, the stipulation, and that's fine because they've never done that. However, I don't care about seeing these guys face each other again. I'm over it. It seems like when there's absolutely no creative anything, they just pull this rabbit out of the hat and they're like, here you go, Brock and Reigns again. People are going to be intrigued. People are going to want to see this. We're just going to do it again. And I'm over it. I want to sit here and rant. I want to rant. I want to just fucking rant about it for 20 minutes, but it's happening. There's nothing we can do about it. I hope that they can pull a fucking, make a fucking, take a dog pile of dog shit and turn it into a fucking, a cup of lemonade or whatever you want to call it. But we'll see here. I was trying to think of a better analogy.
Yeah, that was all over the place.
Turn lemons into lemonade or whatever.
Yeah.
But, we'll
shine a turd. I think that you're going for that one too. I think you can buy two.
Shine up a turd here. So it's not that both these guys aren't good and we enjoy seeing them in matches. We just don't want to see them together.
literally, this has gone back to WrestleMania 31 in 2015 was the first fucking title match these guys had. And, like, it just...
I just don't think the chemistry is
really, what this really shines on is the inability to create stars. That's really what this continues to just... And it continues to be an issue with WWE is they just can't fully commit to guys. They do, and then it takes fucking 15 years for it to work, or, you know, it just, they cannot just get past the fact that, you know, okay, these are the biggest stars, so here you go again. Like, you're going to love it. Trust me. We got to sell a stadium, and none of these motherfuckers that we're going to put in there are going to be as big of names and as big as draws as these guys, because we haven't got any of them over to that extent. So, like you said, it's worth a 20-minute rant about, but it's fucking why? Just a waste of breath at this point, because it's like they're going to do it, and they're probably going to continue to do it, and just fuck.
Yeah, I feel that same way. So that's what we got for SmackDown here. It is what it is, and we'll move on to AEW Dynamite. So, Mr. Justin here, you got to attend Dynamite this week here, and I'm a little jelly because I could have potentially pulled it off and went, but I just the old lady's been a little annoyed about the amount of money I've been spending. But
I feel you.
I was like, oh, maybe I should not go. But you know what, man? I feel like I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna say it, okay? And I'm a little bummed. I feel like you were at one of the best Dynamites they've ever had.
Yeah, I get that feel too.
Like low key, like from start to finish, it just felt like. And here's the thing: is as much as we've given AEW the press, man, we have been pressing them. We've been talking mad shit lately. We've been giving them a hard time. The reason is we want them to be so fucking good. We want them to be the best. We've gone past that with WWE. We get the nugget every now and again. We get the gold nugget from WWE. We get one or two a year usually. We're like, there we go. That was the shit. But for AEW, they can give us the gold nugget a couple times a month if they just do shit right and stop getting in their own way. And as a wrestling fan, I could not, for the life of me, if anybody came to me and said, yeah, this week's Dynamite, it was shit. Like, as a wrestling fan, you could not convince me that this Dynamite show was not an enjoyable wrestling event. It was just fun. It was enjoyable. There was so much stuff going on, and yeah. So you were live. We'll get a kind of an opinion from you from the live, and I watched it on on TV. So we'll kind of run down everything that went down, and we'll see what happens here. So and to kind of get a different point of view from this here. So we start off with the hair versus hair. It was a wild match here. It was a lot of fun. A lot of the crowd was into this, and I wasn't sure if Jericho was going to lose his hair here. I thought to myself, Jericho's one of those guys that likes to reinvent himself every now and again. I wouldn't be surprised if like he just got a burr up his ass and he was like, I kind of want to just buzz my head, which in all actuality I feel like might not be a good look for him, but maybe he thought it would happen. But and I kept thinking it's probably Ortiz. But overall, this was fun. There was a lot of run-ins. There was a lot of stuff going on here. They're continuing the feud here, going into blood and guts. And man, the heat, the crowd reaction, everything going into this. Obviously, Jericho wins, and it just put it over the top where you get Ortiz on the mic at the end, and he's just cutting his own hair, and he's like blood and guts, blood and guts, blood and guts. It just came off so hard ass to me. I enjoyed this whole segment and match very much. How you feel about it live?
Yeah, it was a blast. The crowd was super hot from the start and really continued that momentum throughout the show, which was awesome because, St. Louis is a very face-oriented crowd. They're very, I don't want to say like childish in nature, but very, wrestling's coming, let's go, family. Like it's very like, very blue collar, very kind of believable, very kind of markish. It's not like you're, super duper hardcore like New York, Chicago type of fans, but man, when you deliver them a good show, they're going to deliver, a great crowd response. And I can't say enough about, St. Louis definitely showed up and showed out at this show. And, from start, with this matchup, the crowd was super hot, huge, backing for Eddie Kingston in this, being out at ringside with Ortiz, and that near fall off of that spinning back fist was huge live. That was a huge crowd reaction. Everybody was totally thinking that that's where, Jericho was going to lose, and, coming out of it and having Jericho win. And like you said, the passionate, the blood and guts from Ortiz at the end was great. This was all really solid stuff. And I thought they did a great job here and, really kicked off the show in a solid way.
Yeah. I also forgot to mention that the way this finished was, with Sammy Guevara dressed as
yes, forgot about that, yeah.
And him and later on we find out Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti end up joining Jericho's little faction, but it was kind of unexpected. And when I saw that,
I also didn't know that was actually a callback to Sammy Guevara doing that in the Serpentico gear. He did that, I guess, previously in the Inner Circle, and he dressed up as the Serpentico guy that's with that fucking guy with the bullseye on his head.
Oh, yeah.
So that was actually, somebody put it on Twitter. I was like, oh shit, okay, that's kind of cool. And it was also cool because it was the ties of, Inner Circle ties too with, Ortiz and Jericho being in the matchup there. So that pulled off great. The crowd response to that was awesome too when the mask came off and everybody's like, I'm sitting there like, why the fuck is that guy interfering? Watching live, and my wife and I went. My wife's like, "Who the fuck is that guy?" We're just like, "Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on here, to be totally honest with you." But yeah, she actually called it too. She's like, "It's probably Sammy Guevara." I'm like, "Ah, it looks a little bit smaller than Sammy Guevara," and then I forgot Sammy Guevara looks, fucking Circuit City Sammy. What am I thinking? Yeah, that was a cool moment too, for sure.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I feel like Sammy and Ty definitely fit in with Jericho's kind of group and everything.
Overly douchey vibe. Yep.
Yeah, and they just work. It just works. So basically, it's the Inner Circle minus Ortiz.
Santana Ortiz.
Yeah. So at the time, so we'll see where they go with that. But this was a lot of fun and super enjoyable. And then next we have Wardlow with beating up 20 guys. just squashing 20 guys. I mean, this was this show in particular, one thing that we've been asking for is not just a bunch of just over-the-top wrestling matches. Like, there obviously are some on the show, but this show had such a large variety. It felt more of like a sports entertainment show.
Right.
There was so much going on here, and as much as someone could say, well, this match sucked. It didn't have a good star rating. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It was an entertaining squash. It's like I don't mind watching Wardlow beat the shit out of people. It's entertaining. So he just whoops these dudes' asses, and then he power bombs Mark Sterling, and then who it was Matt Hughes and
oh shit, yeah, I can't think of the other guy.
Yeah,
no, it was another UFC guy, and he's a pretty big name too. It'll come to me, but yeah, Matt Hughes is the biggest name because he's obviously from Missouri.
It was Jake Paul.
Rashad Evans, maybe? Was it Rashad Evans? Fuck, I don't know, dude. I'll have to look it up.
It was the guy who boxed Jake. What's his name?
Jake Paul.
It's the guy who boxed Jake Paul, and they made a bunch.
It'll come to me later. I can't fucking think of it.
Anyway, they came in the ring and were like, "I know you guys. You guys are just like me. You're gonna let fucking what's his nuts talk for you and all this," and they turn, which is an obvious thing to do. But this was fun. How did you feel about this live, getting those huge?
Yeah, it was cool. Actually, what's their nuts? Scorpio and Dan Lambert were actually literally right behind us. They were in the same section as us up in the little thing. So yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You got kind of like a hometown vibe too, obviously with Matt Hughes and those guys in there coming in. And, yeah. I mean, say what you will about, everything that they're doing right now with Wardlow. They're just continuing to build up his fucking, his epic build of just being a monster and just destroying guys. And, like we said about, the pay-per-view match with MJF, it may not get a great star rating, but it was just a beautiful squash that told a story. It's continuing a story, and it's continuing the trajectory of this character and the build and everything that they're leading up and all that kind of stuff. So, right now they have him kind of off in his own little, just like world of destruction where he just kind of comes in every week and just destroys people. And, I'm sure he'll probably destroy Scorpio Sky for the TNT title once that match eventually happens, and they'll continue his build. But yeah, it was also kind of a funny little side note of the being in St. Louis. There's a local promotion here called Glory Pro, which Ryan and I actually went to a show at the Pageant, which is a kind of a famous venue around here, and there's actually a couple Glory Pro guys that believe in this match. I think Mike Outlaw, who's like their national champion, was actually in this. There's a couple other guys, I think, too, maybe a couple of like the tag team guys that are in Glory Pro too, but I was kind of wondering what kind of, security guys would be in here. I figured they'd kind of be local talent, but representing for St. Louis, Glory Pro, Team Ambition getting slaughtered. Matchup, which is pretty hilarious. But yeah, nothing bad to say here. Just in and out, and short and sweet destruction for Wardlow, kind of what we've been seeing as of late.
Yeah, kind of pulling the whole, giving them a little bit of the Goldberg treatment at the moment, kind of waiting.
Yeah, we had. And that was too, another thing live is legit, like the Wardlow chants were like, I felt like I was in fucking, a Nitro in like 98 with like fucking Goldberg. You had it throughout the fucking arena. It wasn't being piped in or anything. It just naturally started with the crowd. So definitely genuinely, organically over and continuing to get over even more so.
For sure. Next we had a kind of a spontaneous match that, kind of turned into a bit of a dream match. They put Will Ospreay on the show, and they were like, "Fuck it, put him against Dax." Which when you think about it off the cuff, you're like, okay. And then you think about it more, you're like, this is probably going to be really fucking good. And not just because of the stuff that Dax has done with FTR, but just even in singles matches. Like, this guy has something to prove. He just wants to he wants to be one of the best in the world, which at this moment in time, if we stopped this year and said, who are the top 5 wrestlers in the world right now in terms of quality, you got to probably put Dax in there. Like,
yeah.
For real. Some of the stuff he's been doing this year. And some would argue Ospreay as well, but I wouldn't. So personally, I like Ospreay. I think he's all right, but you got to sell me a little more than just doing moves. You got to be able to tell a story and sell a little better, at least in my opinion. But this was a good match, and I enjoyed this a lot. I think this was, you could argue, the best match on the show when we get towards the end. But I really enjoyed this, and I obviously love the stuff that Dax has been doing, and it's really cool to see Ospreay just on American television, just kind of out here just doing stuff. I don't know how that reaction was when you were there live. I think you sent me a Snapchat and it was like, see, nobody gives a shit about this guy or something. I can't remember if that was.
It was not a very, no. He was one of the more lackluster ovations that the crowd had for a guy.
Yeah. So good match here, very enjoyable, and yeah, I mean, how do you feel about this match?
Yeah. I remember I sent you a thing on Twitter, and I was like, dude, they're doing this. There should be some really special stuff, because I don't know, like, whenever Ospreay gets in there with a worker, like, it just seems like it clicks. Like, my favorite Ospreay match this year is the one that he had with Moxley. And you look at Moxley and a Dax, it's very, grounded and a brawler and a guy that's more of a catch-as-catch-can kind of, well, not really so much with Moxley, but you know what I mean. As far as a grounded base, it's not fucking flippy-fly, fucking, ballet routine shit. That your typical, Ospreay matches. I know he had a match with, I think, Nick Wayne at a GCW show this past week, which is probably a routine for the ages. But this one, when you get just a fucking technician in the ring and a guy that is just so old school and in psychology and everything he is, we can't say enough about Dax and Cash. Obviously, I think Cash gets, doesn't get as much praise, obviously, as the work that Dax does as far as, Dax usually cuts a lot of the promos, and I don't know, it just kind of seems like he gets more utilized, and I think he's a better in-ring worker, but Cash is, both guys in FTR are tremendous, but, yeah, just got this vibe, man, like, it's just like this high flyer guy that's going to get grounded by this other guy, and it worked well. It was the best wrestling match on the show by far, I will say that. If you want to go for the more, we'll just say this is the steak portion of the sizzle was kind of later on in the night, but, this was some great stuff, and it really built well. The crowd slowly got and gained momentum and got behind this and just worked the match outstanding. And I think that was mostly Dax doing that as far as being able to work it, psychology wise and telling the story and getting out there and just like beating like a couple of those chops that he did in the corner, man. He just fucking wrecked Ospreay, and it was out. I mean, we were about this arena's not big, but we were about as high as we can, and man, he fucking wrecked his ass. And it was fun to see Ospreay live too. It's the first time that I've been able to see him live, and it was cool that we got to see his first singles match. And this is some great stuff. And it is kind of one of those ones on paper that you're like, this could be either just kind of weird, but for some reason I feel like it's going to be really good, and it was really good. I can't give any more credit to Dax. I think he's obviously a tremendous worker, but cool to see Ospreay too, and it was a definitely great matchup here.
So after this, they kind of go into a brawl with the Undisputed Elite and Chaos, the Chaos faction with Trent and Rocky Romero and
Rocky was out there.
And so we have the returning Orange Cassidy here. He comes out and him and old Ospreay have a stare down. And I'm thinking to myself, really? Really? They're going to go here? They're going to do this? Don't get me wrong. I mean, Pac and Orange Cassidy was very entertaining. But it's just like, it's like
Pac wasn't in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah,
you can't say no. I mean, I think putting those two names together, Pac, obviously I love Pac. I like Pac more than Ospreay, but I think people were having a little bit more desirable matchups for Ospreay for Forbidden Door for sure.
Yeah. And, they made it official. They make it official, and it's Ospreay and Orange Cassidy. So, I mean it's Ospreay, and it's Orange Cassidy. So, who knows what they're going to do here. This could be crazy. Could be awesome.
Does Tony love Orange Cassidy, or does Tony love Orange Cassidy, man? Holy shit.
Yeah. And fucking Danhausen. And
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, he likes these like internet kind of darling guys who are kind of like more.
And it's continuing to be what we said it doesn't need to be, which is putting them into high profile spots. It's like they can have their niche little spots. Literally, I would have loved a match with like fucking Orange Cassidy versus like fucking what's the guy, Toriano or whatever. Like, just fucking do that on the pre-show. Like, that would have been hilarious. Like, keep the comedy with the comedy and keep the comedy away from serious business shit. I'm not a fan of doing that. I know people are like, don't take it so seriously, man. They had Pac and Orange Cassidy. That was fucking fun. And like, who's believing that? Like, who's not believing that Pac should just beat the shit out of this guy? Like, it's not believable when it's like, I'm just kind of over that whole thing. Like, I think Orange Cassidy has a spot and has a spot on the roster. He's super over, and the crowd loves him, but I don't want to see him in big high profile matches with big high profile guys. I just don't want to see that.
I get you for sure. I'll tell you what though, man. Crowd's gonna mark out hard for this match. So
oh God, yes, Chicago.
They're gonna eat it up, and it's gonna be every time Orange Cassidy does a move that's like something Ospreay would do, they're gonna be like, oh my God, he can do that? Oh, he's only been fucking wrestling for 15 years. He was literally the fucking ant guys from Chikara. I literally didn't know that. I found that out.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he was one of the ant guys for like 5 or 6 years.
No shit.
Yeah, in Chikara. I had no idea.
Oh, look at that. That's crazy. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so he can work. He knows how to work.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, we'll see. Let's move on here to we have the Moxley and Tanahashi the face off here, which it was Moxley cutting a promo, basically like I'm one of the best in the world, and I mean, I'll give him this. This is probably the best version of Moxley has ever been. I don't know if I'd put him in the best in the world category, but I definitely think he's the best version of himself that he's been in maybe ever. But they kind of face off here. Obviously, this is the main event of Forbidden Door. And then we have Jericho kind of come out, and they basically are going to do like a Jericho team versus an Eddie team. What was it? Jericho, Sammy, and who the fuck else was another Japanese?
Yeah. This was the portion of the show where I was like, this is random as fuck. Like literally they had they basically combined two segments is how it felt to me live, because they had the two face offs and they had two faces. You're not gonna have any sort of like sneak attack bullshit. You're not gonna have any of that. So they're like, well, we gotta find a way out of this, but maybe we kind of need to like get some heat on something. So Jericho comes out and then like he announces Archer and El Desperado into fucking something on Wave for Suzuki-gun and Minoru Suzuki, and then he's like, I'm gonna team with Minoru Suzuki for the first time ever. Like, what? It's just so random. Like, it's just like, what was the fucking tweet that we saw that was literally dead on about how the guy just got home and didn't have any ideas for dinner, and he just kind of fucking found a bunch of shit in his fridge, and it all ends up turning out well, and that's how Forbidden Door is. It's like, well, these names are all good, but the collection and how we're putting it together is like a buffet from fucking South Alabama, and you don't know what the fuck you're gonna get out of it at a goddamn Sizzler or some shit. Like, it's like, just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, it's like, why is Minoru Suzuki wanting to team with Chris Jericho and then these other guys? I'm just like, this is fucking random as all get out.
I definitely have heard a lot about the booking of this show, how it's been very difficult to get a lot of this show organized correctly and kind of get everybody on it the way they want.
I'm sure there's a lot of political play going on for sure.
For sure. And it was, so it's Jericho, Suzuki.
It's Jericho, Minoru Suzuki,
Lance Archer.
And I think Lance Archer? Or maybe Desperado? I don't know. And then it's, what the fuck was the other team? Eddie Kingston, Red Shoe's son.
Uno
or whatever. And then, who the fuck was the other one? I don't even know. Like, it was just like, so fucking random.
I have no idea.
I literally can't even think of who the other fucking person was on the face team.
This one definitely is one that I'm kind of just in whatever about. So
yeah, I'm like, what?
We'll see what they do here. Obviously, it's got Eddie Kingston in it, so I'll be excited.
Right.
So I would have rather just seen fucking just Jericho just try to cut promos with guys in Japanese. That should have been hilarious.
Or just do like I just think a thing with Suzuki. I mean, has Suzuki and Jericho ever had a match together? I'm sure probably like in the fucking 90s or some shit. But like that could have been funny too, just having like a no shit given, or just fucking do Suzuki and Kingston again. Fuck, I don't give a shit. But like this, it just seems like you're gonna do a bunch of tags to get everybody onto the card. But like, I feel like it could have been organized a hell of a lot more cleanly, like than just these random fucking things that they're just putting together. It's just baffling.
For sure. We'll see what happens, and we'll see if they build this up any longer for for Dynamite or Rampage, and
which is hard too, obviously with Blood and Guts coming in. So it's like they kind of like they want to build towards that because that's been their biggest kind of blood feud going on, and then it's like, oh, we also have a pay-per-view like that weekend too, so we need to build to that too. So it's like it's inconvenient timing for that pay-per-view. I think is an issue that's running in on top of political backstage shit.
Political backstage stuff, booking their TV show, booking with New Japan, and injuries. So
right.
There's a lot of messy parts moving around.
Right.
So quickly I'll just mention Miro, he wins, moves on to the AAC tournament. This is going to be a 4-way match, which I guess we got wrong.
Not the ACC tournament to confuse anyone out there.
Right.
We're not talking about college basketball. We're talking about the All Atlantic, All Elite Wrestling All Out Championship, but the All Out show.
Which is, this is exactly what we thought. We thought Miro was going to get the win here. Do you got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, nothing really special here. Pretty predictable outcome.
For sure. Next we have Tony Storm comes in here, beats Britt clean. I can't remember. Yeah. Beats Britt clean, which is good, which is what we were hoping for. And then we get Rosa Mendez. That was a blast from past.
Jesus.
Yeah. We get Thunder Rosa.
Rosa Mendez.
Yeah. We get a Thunder Rosa at the top of the ramp, kind of staring down Tony Storm. And we've been saying this. And I think a lot of people were saying this. They were literally like, okay, we get it. You have Britt. You've been pushing her for years. You have Tony Storm now. And she's just kind of floating around doing nothing. She deserves an opportunity to do something. And I'll be completely honest with you. I think that Rosa as champion is not working.
It's not. No, I agree.
I think that they should. I know they want to kind of give their champions a little bit of a run, make it mean something, but I absolutely think that they should put the belt on Toni Storm here.
Yeah. You know what Thunder Rosa feels like? Thunder Rosa feels like the perfect person you want chasing a title. You just don't want her capturing it. Like it's almost like when Rey Mysterio won the title. It's like, it makes a lot of sense for Rey Mysterio to chase. He's the underdog. He's this and that. He's always not the one they want to go towards. Then he wins the title, and then they're like, okay, he really has nothing outside of that now. Like, you want that underdog to continue to chase, and that's kind of how Thunder Rosa comes off. But yeah, her title, and it's just like it's just so funny. Like, when it comes to booking, when it comes to Tony, and you see some shit on the internet, and it's just like, oh wow, Britt Baker just lost clean to Toni Storm when Toni Storm really hasn't been doing much. Oh, and Toni Storm lost in like a quarterfinal match of the Owen Hart tournament that, I don't know, Britt Baker won? It's like, wait, what? And then a whole bunch of backlash coming out about how they're not pushing other stars, and then, Toni Storm goes in there and wins clean the next week of Dynamite. It's like, weird, that's strange.
Right. Well, we got Toni Storm win here, and
right.
I hope they kind of go with her. I don't think they're going to, have Rosa lose here.
No.
There's some rumors floating around about her this week about her match with Marina Shafir, which was god awful. If you saw that,
it's terrible.
It's basically what's the word I'm thinking of? She was accused of sandbagging her opponent in this, and I'm not sure if she was or Shafir is actually garbage.
I think it's more Shafir's garbage.
I think that's definitely true, but I went back and rewatched some of the clips on Twitter, and I was like, really seems like Rosa's not doing her any favors either. So
it could also, whenever that stuff happens like that too, it could just be a mix-up in spots because somebody just doesn't know what the fuck is going on too. So It seemed like they were just all over the place. And I think they did something online where they got together and they talked about how they didn't have any hard feelings or anything like that. But I don't see that. I mean, why would Thunder do that? Out of all the matches, why would she do it in a match that probably no one really gave a shit about with somebody? I don't know if there's like backstage heat that we don't know about or whatever the fuck, but it was a clusterfuck. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. So we don't know. We know that they basically, Rosa brought some bread and gave her some bread and they broke bread. That's apparently kind of a thing that they do. So Rosa does, or at least happens in Spanish culture, I guess. I don't know. But so we don't know. But Storm moves on here. She gets the Storm. They made Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa official at Forbidden Door, which random, but okay.
Yeah.
Fine, I guess. And then so we move on to Hangman Page comes out, cuts a promo. He's like, well, I'm kind of a dumbass that kind of was like, Okada, I want you. And then, Jay White won. And then fucking Jay White was the champion. And now I'm like, I don't know about Jay White. And then, I don't know what's going to happen here. Blah, blah, blah. Dude, man, they are a fucking mess with some of the stuff they're doing here. Like, because it just feels like, honestly, I think Okada's not going to be a Forbidden Door. I think
starting to get that feel.
I think that everything that I've seen about the situation is Okada's about to have a baby and he doesn't want to come to the States. So for that, which is shitty timing. Shitty. We're not going to get Okada. We're not going to get Punk on the show. Potentially, we're not going to get Bryan Danielson, which is unfortunate as well. But it is what it is. But yeah, so we at least got we got Switchblade Daddy here. Switchblade Daddy, he comes out, and Adam Cole comes out first. Let's not forget about Adam Cole. He comes out here.
Can we?
I know. Right? Here's the thing, man. Twitter is fucking shitting on Adam Cole right now, man. There's a lot of people hating on him, and there's a lot of people defending him, but I don't know what it is, man. Because I'm feeling the same thing you're feeling, which is the same thing a lot of people are feeling, which is, how was it the presentation of Adam Cole when he was in WWE or when he was in Ring of Honor? Well, what is it? That is the issue here with Adam Cole, because I don't know. For me, a lot of times it's, you don't change up over, you're the same guy you've been for the last 8 years. You don't change up anything. You're the same guy. And then you are visibly not making or bettering yourself. Your body is like, I get it. When you're a pro wrestler, you have to take care of yourself. You always got to continue to build yourself. And it just almost seems like, well, I'm with my buddies now. We're all hanging out and having fun. I guess I don't need to go to the gym. It's like, I don't know. It's just, I don't want to body shame because that's a big deal. And I just don't, it doesn't really come down, like, just don't present Adam Cole as a main eventer then. That's all it is.
Right.
If you want to say Adam Cole is a mid-card guy or a cruiserweight guy, you know, because he is a cruiserweight guy. He's $160. He's 5'8" or 5'9" or some shit. He's a literal cruiserweight. That is what a cruiserweight is. He's 205 live. That's who he is. And so unless your personality is so larger than life, like a Danielson or something, you know, then it just doesn't work. But I did want to just throw on that quick rant about Cole.
Yeah.
And stuff, and Jay White, you know, with him and Paige. So what you got something quickly you want to say about with all this stuff here?
Switch Daddy.
Yeah, man, he's a stud.
He's
man.
a fucking star, man. Like like when he comes onto AEW, you're like, whoa, look at this superstar that just came onto the scene with a bunch of fucking children around him. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, great promo, and I legit probably marked at a wrestling show for the first time in a long time because I was super pumped. That was the one surprise thing that I hope happened, because I knew I was like, well, I mean, they got to start setting up this pay-per-view, and he did just win the fucking title, so, I mean, we'll see what we get. And we got it, and we'll see where that goes, and, yeah, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly with Adam Cole. And it's unfortunate, man. Like, we were huge Adam Cole fans, and I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know if he got sick. I don't know if something happened to where around COVID, like something happened with COVID, and like it, like just fucking, I don't know. I don't know. But the people defending him as a main event level talent are out of their fucking minds because I don't see it. It's stale and it's rehashed, and he's doing the same shit he did fucking years ago, and it's not progressing at all.
I agree, absolutely.
But I mean, super pumped to see Jay White and in a high profile matchup. And I think if they did him and Paige, it would be a hell of a fucking match.
I don't think they're going to do him and Paige or Cole. I think that they might do. I think Kenny Omega's going to be back.
Ooh,
I think that they're maybe trying to get Kenny back for this.
That'd be crazy.
So
I didn't even think about that because I haven't heard anything about him.
I've seen some rumblings of some rumors, but nothing is official. And maybe Wednesday we'll get a little more clarity. But I think maybe this is the fallback. I think it's possible that if Kenny isn't ready, they might do a triple threat.
Triple threat, yeah.
The triple threat with the three. But I think that maybe they're trying to. I saw something about Kenny trying to get cleared. So
that'd be crazy.
I don't know. We'll see if there's anything in there with that, but you know, that'd be a good surprise. It'd be something that they definitely for the show for sure. Finally, we'll move on here to the main event here, which they pulled the Hardys from this, which we will get to. Obviously, with the stuff going on with Jeff because he cannot get his shit together. Mm-hmm. But they ended up continue to keep the ladder match, which we were definitely both happy that happened. They ended up doing the Young Bucks versus Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy here in a absolutely fun, complete spot fest ladder match, which I enjoyed the hell out of it. You know, it is what it is. I don't go into this expecting, you know, this to be some kind of like emotional investment. It's just a fun car crash that you can just be entertained by, and I just enjoyed it. I'm sure it was fun live and everything that went down with that. How do you feel about the match?
Yeah, it's entertaining as all get out. And it's a match that, you know, fuck, man, I can't think of a match like this that we've seen in St. Louis live. I mean, like, it's fucking a crazy, just spotty ladder match. I mean, basically it was a TLC match. Yep. I mean, the fucking spot that fucking Luchasaurus took to the outside through the double tables. I mean, some of the fucking spots that Jungle Boy and, like, fucking Nick Jackson were doing were just nuts. I mean, it was just fucking full bore from the start. Like, it was literally just go for 15 minutes and just fucking produce a fucking car wreck, and it was super entertaining, and the right team won because the fucking Lucha I could give a shit about, and then we got another great fucking moment to cap it off with fucking somebody finally letting Christian be relevant, with the big heel turn at the end on Jungle Boy and finally not being their fucking mascot. A fucking Hall of Famer you have on your goddamn roster and doing that. Thank God. I fucking was all about that shit, at the end there because I was so sick and tired of that fucking connection and shit they were doing. So hopefully Christian will move on to do bigger and better things because I think there's a lot more that you can utilize a Christian in his mind and his, outstanding wrestling IQ, that he has built up. So, solid, entertaining fucking car crash, and then, a big storyline moment to cap it off with, Christian's heel turn, which is a great way to end the show.
For sure. And it was awesome. They've been playing it up for a minute that he might do it, and they pulled the trigger here, and it was the right call. They lost the belts. That means it's probably, Christian and Jungle Boy leading into potentially a pay-per-view match, which, will be great to see the storyline develop there. Quickly, I will go back to the Young Bucks winning here. Absolutely the right call here. I'm just going to call it now. I think that they're, obviously they won the belts here. I think that, FTR is going to win the IWGP tag titles. And I think that they're going to do the Bucks versus FTR for all the belts at All Out in the main event. I think it's going to be the main event.
Ooh, wow.
So I think they're
crazy.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be like the Young Bucks FTR 3 for 4 title belts. Which
when will that be?
What All Out?
Yeah.
September. So
I don't know, man. That's in Chicago.
I don't know if it's in Chicago. They haven't officially said. I don't.
Oh, they haven't. Okay, I didn't know if. No, because Forbidden Doors in Chicago. I'm a dumbass.
Yeah.
I was for some reason All Out was there, but I don't know. It could be a time where Punk maybe comes back.
Oh yeah.
If you have Punk back and then you have Moxley, you probably are going to do Punk Moxley.
Yeah.
That'll be main event. But I mean, yeah, if they end up doing FTR Bucks, that'd be fucking crazy for all the titles. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, for sure. So I just wanted to kind of throw that there, see if that happens. But yeah, so I mean, awesome, great, fun Dynamite, very enjoyable wrestling show, and yeah, I mean,
yeah, I will say I think it's easily the best, easily our best for St. Louis show we've seen in 20 plus years. I would say. I mean, as far as front to back, I mean, it was just thoroughly entertaining. It kept your attention throughout. There was never a dull moment. You were constantly, intrigued by something going on, and they really delivered here. I mean, we got screwed over not getting that pay-per-view, but we got, like you said, one of the best Dynamites that we've seen in history.
For sure. Yeah, so that's all we got for Dynamite here, and we'll move on to the big news of the week. We'll get there right now. Okay, well, here we go. There's a lot of outside news happened this week. Man, like this week was nuts. There was so much going on outside of the actual television shows, on top of crazy stuff happening on the shows as well. So, early in the week, we find out that, Jeff Hardy, man, just can't get out of his way. Can't get out of his own way. And, driving without a license, driving drunk, got pulled over again. And, he got pulled from the ladder match, got suspended by AEW. And I mean, at this point, how many chances do you give a guy? How many chances? I mean, AEW's obviously not going to let him go. He's such a huge name in wrestling. And this is what? Like the fourth time that he's had trouble with drugs or alcohol or.
Oh God, that'd be on the low end.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in 2003 them letting him go because he was fucked up on pills and just all kinds of stuff that he was doing, and then went to TNA, and then he came back and he was fucked up in TNA on actual television. And then even here in AEW, there was, the match they had at the pay-per-view where he just seemed off. He seemed not all there.
Right.
It has come out that he was supposed to get a scan on his brain because it's possible that he had a concussion or something happened and he was just not all there, which is absolutely possible with the amount of spots he's taken in his life. and the craziness that he does. And, you know, the thing about AEW, which is, you know, it's a double-edged sword. It's like you give guys the opportunity to completely fulfill their greatest potential with promos, with matches, with storylines even. But sometimes some of these guys, they need somebody to step in and be like, you're not doing this, or we're going to stop you. And for Jeff, it's always been, he's kind of an out-of-the-box think kind of guy, and it's like, great, I'll go to AEW. I can jump off shit and do swantons whenever I want. I can do fucking ladder matches with Darby. We can just have a lot of fun, and I'm going to fuck my body up even more, but I'm going to just do what I want to do. And then also comes with that his demons, you know, the things, the alcohol and the pills and the drunk driving and all the stuff that he's been doing for years, which everyone thought he was done with, is continuing. So, I mean, how you feel about Jeff and the stuff that's going on with him?
It's just sad, man. It really is. I mean, we can beat up on Jeff all day, and you know, people have done that for years and years and years, but it's not going to do any good. The dude just needs help. He just needs help, and it sucks that it seems like he, you know, everybody can relate to addiction issues, whether it be personal or, you know, somebody in your family, whatever the case is. It's just like, you know, they think there's nowhere else to turn, and there's no situation that's going to get them on the right path. And you know, it sucks because it's somebody that, you know, everybody, you know, he's beloved. Everybody loves Jeff Hardy. So it's like, you know, since we were kids and everything he does, he's got the, you know, risk taker, he's a daredevil, he's not afraid of anything. And, you know, people have, you know, love Jeff Hardy, and to see, you know, what he does to himself and the toll that it's paid and everything that's happened in and out of the ring for Jeff, you know, it's definitely, it always seems to catch up to him. And, you know, everybody always says, you know, the demons are getting him again. And it's like, you know, it always ends up being that case. And it seems like it always comes back to that. But, you know, it is kind of like, it's interesting you mentioned that about AEW and kind of how they're kind of left to their own will, and you know, you're kind of out there swimming without a, you know, without a safety jacket or whatever you want to say. Like, you're kind of out there, no one's really kind of looking out for you, which I think a lot of people, you know, they give shit to WWE for, you know, maybe being that too much. But I mean, there's a lot of guys that need that sort of, you know, babying, and they need that kind of like safety blanket of that. And, you know, a lot of people came out and they were, you know, shitting on WWE for the shit that they were talking about with Jeff and how they were trying to get him help, and they wanted to put him through, you know, rehab or whatever the fuck the case was. And, you know, they're like, oh, I'm good, I ain't got no issues, I wasn't doing this. And literally, how long have you been in AEW? And then this comes up. It's like, it's unfortunate and it's sad, and I hope that he, you know, finds a way to straighten everything out, and hopefully he can stay on that path. You know, I think that, you know, I think Matt has finally gotten to a point in his life where it seems like he's kind of more on the straight and narrow, and he's got some shit figured out. So hopefully he can get, you know, help from his brother and everybody behind them. I think it's unfortunate the shit that you've seen out there. I think the stuff with, I mean, it's funny to laugh at the stuff with, like, Matt Hardy's wife, like the shit that came out. She got a whole bunch of flack for the shit that came out about what she did. And, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's just sad, and I hope he can, you know, get it figured out, because, you know, we want to have a good send-off for Jeff. We don't want this to be the way that we you know, our last impressions of Jeff Hardy in wrestling.
Yeah, for sure. And I think AEW will give him that second opportunity to make it right, for sure. And it'll just take some time for him to get right. And as much as the fans are kind of like at their wits' end, they're fans, man. I mean, we'll get to Vince, obviously, with the shit that happened with him, but the fans will take him back.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Stuff, you know, and we'll take him back, and we love the Hardys and stuff, and it sucks, but
yeah,
you know, we definitely want to see him go off, you know, not like this. We don't want this to be the last thing we remember Jeff for.
Right.
There's a lot of potential bad scenarios here, because he could serve jail time.
Yeah.
You know, there's potential for jail time because of this. So
right.
If that's the case, then it's not a fun way to go out, you know. It's a shitty way to go out. So hopefully the best for Jeff, and we'll see what happens there. But it's unfortunate. Hopefully he can get himself, you know, straight. Yeah. So we'll move on here. I don't know if you heard about this or not. It was kind of low brow news, but this kind of goes along with you know, people who've kind of burned their bridges, who are kind of like, you know, are they pretty much a lost cause at this point? So, old Tessa Blanchard, man, I don't know if you heard about this. She got fired from WoW. So.
Really?
Yeah, so I feel like at this point, I mean, the potential that she had was so massive.
Oh, yeah.
And she's just, and pretty much just disappearing into obscurity as a pro wrestler.
She's just like a fucking head case? Like, what is the deal?
I don't know. She's just apparently hard to work with, and, you know, it's unfortunate because, you know, there's some guys too that, because, you know, with the Me Too stuff kind of got Me Too'd, and, you know, David Starr obviously was one of the guys, but it's unfortunate. It's like that kind of shit happens, and then it's like, you know, you have a reputation. It's like it's hard for you to make it anywhere anymore. You know, it's like the business has shunned you. And shit, I mean, there wasn't even any like actual real proof. Like there wasn't like any actual proof that Velveteen Dream was talking to an underage boy. It just was, or anything was said. Well, there was proof, but there wasn't anything said or done that was, you know, perceived as wrong or anything. They didn't want to open the can of worms. And then he's just disappeared into obscurity. And that was super unfortunate because I was a big fan of him. So it's like, at this point, you know, has Tessa Blanchard basically kind of Teddy-hearted herself? Because I remember when that guy was going to be huge, and he just couldn't get out of his own way. Loki, he's another guy who just they just can't get out of their own way.
Right.
With Austin Aries, he's another guy.
Yep.
Like these guys that they just, it's like they either think that they are just the hottest shit in the world and they can get away with whatever they want. And, you know, eventually you're just going to burn every bridge you're at. And, I mean, what are you going to do? Work the independents the rest of your life and have no buzz? Like, at this point, you're not doing anything. So, how do you feel about Tessa and her potential kind of just being flushed down the drain?
Yeah, that sucks because that's the first I've heard of that. I mean, it's not like she was, you know, she was in a position that she was, I mean, outside of Charlotte Flair, the first person you thought of outside of WWE was Tessa. I mean, she's a tremendous worker. She has a great look. I mean, just tons and tons of potential with her. And you just think that, man, if WWE got their hands on her and just kind of locked her down and just really developed her up, like she could be a huge star. But yeah, I mean, it's a case with a lot of talent. I mean, if the talent can't get their head right and then they cannot get over themselves, or they can't just find a way to maybe be a little bit more humble and, you know, kind of like pay their dues or whatever the case may be, you know, you're not going to be able to make it. You got to have that character behind yourself. And I'm not talking about a wrestling character. I'm talking about the character of a person. And you got to really just, you got to pay your dues and you got to get in there and you got to fucking be right. You can't just be thinking you fucking deserve everything just by opening the door and being there. So,
Theo Rush, he's another one of them.
Yeah,
Theo Rush,
sure.
another guy I think about too.
Yeah, so I mean, there's just tons of names that just had uber potential, and you know, whether it be the way society is these days, and the way culture is these days, where if you just, you know, you get a bad reputation off of one thing and you're just completely fucked for the rest of your life, or you do it yourself and it's self-inflicted. You know, it sucks because it does take up a lot of talent, and it takes up and sucks up a lot of potential. Because there was definitely a lot there with Tessa.
For sure, it's kind of shitty, but yeah, we'll see if she ends up kind of making a comeback or what she does. But at this point, she's kind of just feels like she's a lost cause at this point. So
right.
So next we're gonna move on to, which I guess could be, you know, if any other week, the Jeff news would probably be the biggest news. But you know, there's like 5 stories this week that could be the biggest news.
Right.
I think this one probably takes the cake just because of the impact of the eventual outcome of what happens here. And that's the Wall Street Journal, man. They come out and they're like, you know, Vince McMahon, he's being investigated on an NDA where he basically was like paid a woman $3 million of hush money. He was having an affair, which I guess at this point, you know, it's capped out the bag. I guess Vince and Linda had not been together for a while. They're still married, but they have not been together for a while, as what is being told. So he kind of was free to do what he wanted, and the relationship that he had was consensual. But yeah, so he's kind of being investigated with this whole deal about the paralegal, this woman he hired, who basically he started a relationship with, a physical relationship with, and then I guess recently after that doubled her pay, and then got into some nasty stuff with potentially emails where Vince and I guess John Laurinaitis had been talking about passing her around like she was a toy and kind of giving her off to letting her get a piece of it, this girl as well. And then we don't know all the details yet, but as of now, we kind of know that he essentially paid her $3 million as a plush money and to sign an NDA to not, non-disclosure agreement to not say anything. Now, all of this stuff happened or started happening at the beginning. I believe they think it started at the beginning of 2019. But you think about what has happened from 2019 until now in terms of their money and the things that they have done. And it's just, paying someone $3 million, that is one of your high-end main event level talent on your roster. And it's like, you think about it for a second and you think, did they let go some of these people during the pandemic just so he could pay this woman hush money? Because if that is something that comes out and that is something that that happens, that is a deal breaker. That is something that cannot be fixed. Vince is done. He's done it. He's not. I don't think he's in the creative. Has
it come out yet? If where the money was coming from?
That's the thing. They don't know yet. If it's his own money. Which, you'd think maybe that Vince would be smart enough to pay his own money. It's not like the man's a billionaire.
$3 million is like fucking wipe his ass.
Right. So if it's like one of those situations where he paid with his own money, if he was smart enough to pay with his own money, well then okay, they can't do anything about that. Still, he had an affair with someone, he paid him, a bunch of money to not, say anything. And it's a big deal. It's all over, the national news, CNN, NBC, and then it was NCBS, whatever. Just a bunch of fucking, national news stations have picked up this story, and it's everywhere. And, we didn't mention it with the Smackdown review or talking about Smackdown because I want to mention it here. He came out at the beginning of Smackdown, and we're like, holy shit, what's he going to say here? They were like, Vince is coming out. He's coming out to say something. And it's like, you and I were like, holy shit, what's going on here?
Right.
And he comes out and he's like, then now forever. That's our slogan. And most of all together. Welcome to SmackDown. It's like, what? It's like he's just standing out there just swinging his cock. He's just like, here we go. Look at my big old dick. This is my company.
Right.
I didn't even mention he stepped down, and Stephanie has taken over. There's so much stuff going on with this whole thing right now.
Right.
With conspiracy.
And still so much coming out too. That's why it's so early on.
Right. There's so many conspiracies about Stephanie being let go and why that happened, or not let go, but stepping away, and then information being leaked about why she was being let go and how she wasn't doing a good enough job. And then now she's being brought back and she's basically the interim CEO. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? Did somebody leak this information within? They were mad about something going on. Somebody in the board leaked out this stuff. They want to see Vince go. There's a lot of talk about Nick Khan and how within, the year he's been in charge or whatever, he's pushed out every McMahon, and it's like he's the fucking Mortal Kombat leader, the top of the tower. He's making his way to the top to take out Vince.
The final boss.
Right. And it's just like, there's so much to dive into with this, and it's just like, we can't really do much but speculate and talk conspiracy, it's interesting because we don't know what's going on. But it's so wild and such a crazy wrestling story, and the impact of this is huge because if Vince steps away, we're either going to get a new, fresher, more interesting product outside of Vince's mind, or we're going to see an absolute collapse of an empire. And we just don't know what's going to happen here. Yeah, I mean, give me your 2 cents on all this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's a lot of speculation right now because there's still a lot of shit coming out about it. But for what we have right now, I mean, depending, I guess, just once we figure out where the money's coming from, nothing he did is illegal. I mean,
right.
If he had an affair with somebody, him and Linda weren't together, oh my God, that literally is not crazy. It's just crazy because it's somebody in the mainstream and a huge name. Also, no surprise is that every rich fucking billionaire is a pervy, weird motherfucker. Like, it just, like, Jesus. Like, it just cannot, like, I really hope nothing ever happens to Elon Musk because I like Elon Musk a lot. So it's like, I hope none of this shit happens to where, like, we hear some fucking weird, crazy shit coming out. Because it's like, it doesn't, like, who was the fucking one guy that fucking had his island of fucking 13-year-old girls and shit? And, like, what the fuck was, I can't think of his fucking name. But, yeah, the guy that supposedly killed himself but didn't kill himself. But whatever.
Yeah.
I can't, Jeffrey Epstein, Jesus Christ. So I mean, it's like just none of this is a surprise, people. Like, we literally, you go back to probably our fucking the IWR show, or the Pro Wrestling Pulse. Like, we were talking, like, probably when all the Me Too shit even started and that whole movement came out. We were like, man, I can't wait until somebody uncovers some shit on Vince. It's gonna fucking happen. Like, it just was inevitable. Like, I don't know if anybody else is thinking this is a huge shock. I don't think it's shocking us as much as it is to everybody else, because to me, this is just shit that I automatically assumed. I mean, did you see the?
Well, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. It's just interesting.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's the conspiracy. Conspiracy theory of everything.
To us, I mean, I think we knew this was in Vince. We knew that this was capable of events because you just. I mean, did you guys, anybody you guys watch the product 25 years ago or 20 years ago? Like, the shit that he was doing and the shit that he was producing came from his mind, and his mind's pretty fucked. So, I mean, like, but again, none of this shit's illegal. I mean, if him and Linda weren't having anything, whatever. But, like, I mean, where the money comes from, that's a whole entire another point. But, yeah, speculation at this point, the shit that we're hearing about with him and Laurinaitis, it's fucking pervy, and it's fucking, yeah, I mean, it's whatever. It's fucking ridiculous, and, you know, we're going to continue to hear all these little fucking stories about shit, and, yeah. But, I mean, it's just, it's crazy. I mean, this year has just been nuts. Like, it's this shit that's going on, and the interesting things that we keep hearing behind the scenes, like the different things that, you know, talent, you know, we heard, we didn't even talk about fucking, you know, Sasha potentially and all that kind of shit going on too. But like,
actually, that is actually next. I have that line.
Yeah. So like, that's another thing. So it's like this shit that came out about, and like Nia Jax said something that was kind of like cryptic about stuff behind the scenes.
Oh yeah.
And how people have, you know, been handled, and how, like, you know, the different things have come out, the way that the product has kind of changed over time. And it's just, you know, it's really, really intriguing. I mean, it's just anything with Vince is going to be super scandalous and super fucking, you know, edge of your seat. Like, yeah, I can't wait for this Netflix documentary to come out, because whenever it does, it's going to be super fucking good. And we'll hear about all this shit probably in 5 years whenever it's all uncovered. But,
right.
Yeah, right now it's all speculative, but I mean, it's grimy. It's fucking, you know, it has Vince written all over it. And as the onion continues to get peeled back, it's all going to seem really, really shocking to some people, but at the same time, to people like us, it's kind of like, wow, well, we kind of saw this shit coming.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Like I said, I'm not surprised that something like this has come out. For me, it's just interesting. You spent 20, 25 years watching a wrestling product, and you see, you know, this guy's a character, and this is him on screen. It's something he would do on screen, and then behind the scenes, it's actually really, it's this kind of stuff is actually really happening. You know, it's like, I'm not surprised, but it's just the uncovering of the conspiracy and all the stuff going on. Like, even if none of it's conspiracy and it's just as simple as, you know, the easiest thing is, you know, it was just an affair. That's it. He paid her some money so she couldn't talk about it, and that's it. And there's nothing else to it. He did no crime, whatever. But there's so many layers of information and cryptic tweets and the stuff with Stephanie and stuff with John.
And that's the thing, is like, those, even though it's not stuff that's like, hey, this is illegal or he's doing shit like that. I mean, when it comes to like, company money and shit like that, but like just what this can do as far as a legacy goes, as far as his name goes, as far as, the continuation of his product and the continuation of his company. I mean, the stuff with Stephanie, I think she is literally just a fixture and a head for Vince.
Pawn.
Yeah, she's a pawn. And that's all that's happening. I mean, Vince is going to continue to run this company, whether he's at the fucking shows or whether he says he's CEO or not. Like, it's going to continue to be Vince's fucking running. He will not stop running that goddamn. He could be in fucking prison and probably still run this goddamn show. Like, yeah. It's how it's all. Until he dies, it will not be his mastermind. It will not be his brainchild. That's just how it's going to be, people. Like, you could say Stephanie, you could say, well, she's worked all this hard and all this shit. Like, it's still Vince. Vince is still running the ship. Don't get it fucking twisted. Like, that's what's going on here. But how it goes on in the future and how the board handles things, and if they don't want fucking Vince around, they don't want this and that. Like, they can put things in place, and they don't want the public eye having this view on the company and shit like that. So I mean, it'll be really, really intriguing, and we're just at the tip of the iceberg, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that's going to develop over the summer. I'm sure we're going to find out all kinds of stuff, and we'll be here to cover it as things come down the pipe. So, pretty wild story, pretty interesting, and it's definitely something that it makes you. It doesn't make me like really want to tune in to Raw or SmackDown really particularly. It just makes me want to be like be on social media, just looking for the next crumb of evidence, of something. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. You mentioned Sasha, and we'll get to work into that right now. Pretty much, she is all but confirmed, completely confirmed that she's gone from WWE. Her lawyers are getting her release. I've seen she's been released. She was released 2 weeks ago. I've seen that she's not released, that she's trying to, that her lawyers are basically trying to get things worked out. And, WWE is fighting it. They're fighting it hard. And, I mean, who knows at this point if Sasha is, I think she's done. I think she would, if she had to, she would just wait it out. I think she would completely wait out whatever time she had left if she had to. I think she never comes back to a WWE ring again. Maybe years down the line, kind of pulls a Brett or something and comes back later. But as of now, I think she's done. But it's, not official. It's not official, WWE official. So, and she hasn't said it's official either. So at this point, we don't know. What do you think about the stuff with Sasha?
Crazy, man. Like, it just seems like this all developed so fast. And it's like everything just like they just win the titles at WrestleMania and this and that, and then it's just like, oh, well, they had this disagreement, they didn't want to do this thing, and they walked out, and like, oh yeah, and then one of the biggest stars in your company, and now she's released. It's like, what the fuck? Like, this is another case where it's like, I don't know if we've really heard everything out of this, like, at all, like, even close to it, about really what's going on and the behind-the-scenes shit about this, because it just seems so un-WWE like to just give up on a talent like that they've put so much time and effort into. And, it makes sense, obviously, if they say that they don't want it to be, and Sasha is saying, well, I'm done with this shit. Like, even on her end, it's weird to see, like, just she be in this one little part of her career where she might not be liking what's going on, and then she's just like, yeah, I'm fucking done. I'm just like, really? Like, I think she's really
being held back. I think that's the big one. I think she thinks she's being held back. I think she thinks that she could be.
But in the scope of her career, like, this is just a blimp. You know what I mean? Like, it's not.
Oh yeah.
It's not like she's never going to be back on the top, or she's never going to be in title contention, or be in the main event, or whatever the fucking case may be. Like, it's just really weird. Like, it just seems like there's more to it that we're not hearing, which is probably the case. But I
think she thinks she could be the next mega star in wrestling, and they're holding her back. I think that she thinks that in her mind. Which, she has all the star potential to move on and do. And, we said it before and we say it again. WWE does not want anybody getting bigger than the company ever again. Right. And maybe they just are really just holding people back. And she's just like, nope, I'm not doing that. I could be huge. I could be a huge star, not just in wrestling, just in the world in general. I could be a huge star in television and movies. maybe she's just done with it. You know,
we'll see. I mean, more power to her. I mean, we've seen people do that and succeed, and like I say, like The Rock. I mean, there wasn't any bridges burned there. It was a kind of mutual thing that they all went to do. But like, there's a lot of people that wouldn't do that, and they fell flat on their face. So it's like, we'll see where it goes. Never say never. With Sasha and WWE, I'm not going to say that we would never see her again. I don't think I'll go that far. But I mean, right now it definitely doesn't look like it. But who knows down the road? She's still super young, and I don't know why. I just don't see her just being like, okay, I'm going to go to AEW now. I'm just like, I see her more trying to do acting or like film or shit like that. Like that seems to me more her route than just being like, oh, on to the next wrestling company. I just don't. I don't know. I don't see her doing that. I see her more trying to do maybe more TV and film and kind of using that platform that WWE gave her to be able to go do those things, and then using that to continue and go into the entertainment business. But I don't really see a lot of people are like, oh, there she goes, confirmed to AEW, big signing, and I'm just like, I don't really know about that one.
That one's kind of tricky too, because I don't see that either, but I could also see kind of a scenario with like with FTR, where it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, maybe I still love being a pro wrestler, and I want to go prove that I'm the best wrestler, the best women's wrestler on the planet, and I think that WWE's not going to give me that opportunity. Maybe I can go to AEW and I can get in there and I can be like, here we go. I can have.
Yeah, it all depends on where her motivation is at. Because I think FTR is a team that is wrestling. Right. I don't know if that's on the forefront of a Sasha. I think her mind maybe is more on, I can become a bigger star. I can be like the female Rock or some shit. Like, so whatever she thinks in her fucking mind. Like, I think she's more that route. FTR, 100% I see that because they think they are being held back wrestling-wise. I think Sasha thinks she's being held back just entertainment-wise. And I think she can maybe do more outside of wrestling.
For sure. So we'll see. That's another one we'll keep hold of. Obviously, we get back to it, this time next Sunday or Monday, depending on when we get to the next podcast.
Right.
A week from now, we could have a whole bunch more information about.
Hey, we can't thank the wrestling business enough for just giving us so much shit to talk about.
Right, for sure. We say it every week since we've been starting. More shit to talk about. So
every week, it's literally like every single new week something starts. It's like, oh, here's the new thing to talk about. It's like, geez.
Right.
Keep it coming.
Yeah, it's good. It's good content. It's good to talk about, and we enjoy it. So, we'll get on to the next thing here. We only got two more things to kind of talk about here, but yeah, man, Randy Orton possibly out for the rest of the year. It's unfortunate, man, because he was on a really good run. We were hoping to get that Orton and Reigns match at SummerSlam, which looks like where they were headed, and now we're kind of stuck with Brock Lesnar again. So, I mean, it sucks. It's unfortunate. Like I said, Orton was on a good run, and man, just the amount of injuries right now, and not just in WWE, but just in wrestling in general, man, it's taken a blow to wrestling, and I think right now it just feels like is the perfect opportunity for, if anybody is going to step up and take over that spotlight,
right?
Big names out. Now is the time. If someone is going to step up, it's the time. And we'll see what happens this summer. We'll see what happens in the next 4 to 5 months. I mean, it's unfortunate, but you got anything to say about Orton?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it sucks. It's unfortunate because he was on one of the hottest stints that we've seen recently for Randy, and I feel sorry for him. He's a St. Louis boy. We're both St. Louis guys, so we'll always hold a special place in our heart for Randy, and hopefully he can come back and continue that, and hopefully he can I think once he comes back, the crowd will be all over him, just like how they always are, and hopefully he gets healed up. He's been, like I said, it's quietly he's had a 20-year career. It's like it literally just seems like it's gone by so fucking fast. But a lot of mileage on those on his career, and obviously a lot of injuries in his past. So hopefully he can get over this one and come back stronger than ever.
For sure. So finally, the last thing we're going to talk about here is we had a couple of referees, man, passing away this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, old Dave Hebner, Earl Hebner's brother, and then Tim White, which is interesting because I literally just watched that. I never watched that Andre doc. I watched that recently.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, he
was
his buddy.
Yeah, and like Tim White was his traveling buddy, and he was he loved Andre very much because he stated it in the doc several times that he was, him and Andre were very close. But yeah, so it's just kind of sad, some of the guys, the referees we grew up with, it's interesting because you don't think about it, you don't think about the guys who are in the background, counting the pinfall. And then, over the time, these guys, they build up these careers and they just are part of some of the most classic and iconic wrestling moments, and you just got a lot of these guys nowadays, you either got the guys in AEW who are super noticeable sometimes and take away, or you got the guys the people in WWE who are so completely invisible that it's like, contribute to nothing. So it's like, it is what it is, but it's unfortunate to see the passing of Tim White and Dave Hebner. You got any memory or anything of the?
Yeah, it's kind of funny that we even we're mentioning that because when we were at Dynamite, I was kind of inform my wife on stuff if she's not because she'll watch from here and there, but and I know Aubrey Edwards was refereeing one, and I was telling her about how people kind of like can't stay in the way that she does stuff. She kind of gets in the way and tries to get herself over, and it's exactly what you said. I was like, when you see a good ref, it's when you don't see a ref is the best way you see it. And Tim White, is a definitely, a name that you think about. I mean, he had some classic matches. I remember the match he refereed, I think it was a Hell in a Cell, I think it was with, I want to say it was like Triple H and Jericho in like '02. And he took a crazy fucking bump, like off the apron into the cage or whatever. So, I mean,
I did see Jericho mention that on Twitter.
Yeah. So, I mean, storied career, obviously, a great referee, seemed like he was a great guy, and obviously the stuff, like you said, in the Andre doc, I know Stephanie tweeted something out about him, too, so it seemed like a well-loved guy, so it's cool that everybody's paying tribute to him, and, definitely one of the ones from, like, our childhood, like the Kyotos and Earl and everything, like I said, Dave Hebner, former referee, actually the twin brother of Earl Hebner, And they kind of did a little cool tribute actually at Slammiversary last night because Brian Hebner was actually reffing and then Earl was there and they kind of did the little point up to this guy for the brother. So kind of cool send off that they got to do there for his brother there. But yeah, definitely sad whenever we see some good ones go for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean that's all we got for the pod here, pretty much. Do we got a cringe of the week or anything? Something that's kind of just been.
Oh God, I didn't even fucking think of one. I don't know. We got the fucking Hoss. What are we doing for Meat Slapper?
Oh, Meat Slapper. I don't know, man. Maybe I might throw in the Wardlow squash. I think
there you go. Yeah, that's a good one.
The Wardlow squash is a good one. We could just do. I mean, Reigns and Riddle, man, they were smashing each other.
Yeah, they were. That was some good shit too.
So
yeah, true.
Give it a dual one there. You give the Wardlow squash and the Riddle Reigns.
There you go. I like it.
But yeah, well, that's for us. Unless you got some kind of cringe. I mean,
I can't think of shit. I'll do a better job next week.
No, you're good. I just in my mind picture.
I'm trying to think of. I don't know. I'm like, I guess we can. Since we made mention of it, we can give it to that fucking Thunder Rosa Shafir match because that was cringy.
Oh yeah.
Cringy or fuck, one of the two.
I just picture in my mind thinking like Vince and just like Laurinaitis, just A-framing some fucking random girl, and I'm like, ooh, I'm like cringing.
Yeah, that's a cringe and a different kind of cringe.
Right.
It's like a cringe, like I want to fucking throw up cringe.
For sure. Well, yeah, that's another one down, another crazy week out here, and yeah, man, we'll get back to you guys again next week, and we'll see. It just keeps getting crazier and crazier. Summer goes along here. We'll have it all for you. So
we got some fun stuff coming up too. Also, that GCW show coming up in the beginning of July. So we'll have that one to talk about, and then obviously SummerSlam coming up and Forbidden Door also. So definitely got some things coming up, even if the outside wrestling doesn't get fucking nutty again.
For sure. Yeah, GCW in the beginning of July, and then
that'll be hilarious.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. So
yeah.
Should be fun to check out there. Yeah, so that's for us. We are the Hardcore Casuals, your all killer, no filler wrestling podcast. And that's all we got for you guys today.
See ya.